Why do people, including firefighters, need an estate plan, especially a trust?
You want to make sure your assets go to your surviving spouse without complication.
Those without a spouse may want to leave their assets to surviving children, brothers and sisters, parents, other loved ones, or even a charity. When someone owns property and financial assets dies without a trust in California, it goes to probate, which can be a frustrating and lengthy process for the family and others.
Typically in California, that probate process takes a minimum of 1 to 2 years. Historically, the probate procedure averaged around 20 to 22 months. So there's a long delay before those assets are distributed to the beneficiaries.
For most people, especially those with assets totaling more than $150,000, attorneys say a will is not enough. Why?
Well, the will, of course, is an instruction that you write that says, this is how I want my estate to be divided. These are the people who are in charge, the executor who's going to manage your affairs once you're gone. But really, the will is the instructions that you're leaving to the court to control the division of your estate. So a will has to go through that probate procedure, through the court process, through the time delay, through the expenses of probate, before the court can order distribution.
So how is a trust different than a will?
Now with a living trust, what happens is you create a living trust, you transfer assets into the trust. So the trust is a separate new legal entity, and you're in full control of those assets. You can sell your property, you give away your assets, you can do everything with the assets in the trust as you do with them right now in your name alone. Plus, you don't have to worry that if you pass away, it doesn't have to go through probate, because the trust controls the assets once you're gone, not the court. And the trust says, this is who's in control, and this is the person I've selected. And when I pass away, you're instructed as trustee to pay my bills and then divide the assets to my beneficiaries without having to get a court order.
Besides distributing assets to the right beneficiaries, what else does an estate plan do, and what are other key documents needed?
You do need the 2 power of attorney documents, one for financial matters and one for health care. For medical decisions, you want somebody in place to be able to make those decisions if you can't make them yourself.
Once a trust is created, property and assets are not automatically in it. They need to be transferred to it. So what goes in a trust?
We often refer to the trust as a suitcase. And the suitcase, the trust can only handle those things that are inside that suitcase. So you need to transfer your real estate, your personal belongings, your stocks and bonds, your investment accounts. All of those things should be transferred to the trust in order for the trustee, when they take over, to be able to manage those assets. Otherwise, if they're outside, they're subject to probate.
You need to work with your attorney to verify everything needed is in the trust. But there are a few items that do not go in a trust. What are those?
Typically, certainly your IRA, retirement plans, Social Security benefits, those are not in the trust. We do suggest, though, that if you're married, you name the spouse as the first beneficiary of those, because they can roll those over to their own IRA and have some tax advantages no one else has. If you're single and you have IRA and other accounts, which most people do, you can just name the trust as the first beneficiary. If you want to name another relative or a friend, you can, but what if that person passed away before you do? And you fail to get a new beneficiary named on that account, then it's going to go through probate. But if you just name the trust as a beneficiary, regardless of whether that person's around in the trust, you're going to say, if my friend Joan is not around, then it goes to someone else. And so the trust controls that.
Keeping beneficiaries up to date is extremely important. Be sure to follow up on any other benefits you may have that require a beneficiary, such as the Relief Association Death Benefit. Details are on fireman'srelief.org. And be sure to check out the website for free educational seminars about estate planning and other important topics.